Dinosaurs are now traveling in herds, faster, stronger, and more aggressive than ever, and will protect their offspring at all costs. There are only two possible ways to tame these beasts: by hand feeding their babies, or by stealing fertilized eggs right under the parents' noses. And I have 100 days to defeat both the Megapithecus and the Broodmother bosses at the same time. And joining me for the ride will be 30 other content creators. This is The Hunted. It really doesn't surprise me that I wake up on the beach on the center map and it's pouring down with rain, but I did spawn in front of what appears to be a parasaur nest. I didn't want to mess with the cute little fellas, so I chose to leave them be. After aggressively punching a tree and picking up one large stone off the beach, I realised I was already encumbered. This can't be right. 50 weight, 10% crafting skill, so it appears I am the weakest, most feeblest man in the world. Oh, hello there. Do you want to be my friend?
Nope.
Okay then. So I guess every dinosaur is going to be aggressive. Lovely. Alrighty, let's take things slow, try and get some starter gear, and level up a little. Slow would definitely be an understatement. While everyone else was out here dying over and over again trying to get a base set up, I decided to craft wooden foundations just to level up so my survival wouldn't be so squishy. Slow crafting in this corner was the safest place I could be right now. In the night I decided to get ballsy, swimming across to this island for this blue drop. It was that cold my bones crumbled, and I do get the feeling it wasn't worth it for this little implant I got from the drop. I was now stranded on this island, and by the look of it, someone else had been in this same predicament. I took a page out of their book, placing down a campfire in hopes to survive the night. I stayed alive and prepared myself for the dangerous swim ahead back to the shore, coming across a dead dolphin which I skinned for some scaled hide. My first mission was to make it to the admin hub. Seeing a pack of Allosaurus tearing up the beach was not my ideal start to the game. I was able to slip by unnoticed and even managed to grab some hide from their fallen victims, and I soon found out that you cannot gather hide by normal means in this mod. I finally made it to the admin hub, and a trip to the barber shop was first on my list, followed by a spot of shopping when I saw this dead Allosaurus in the ocean. I was inches away from drowning, surviving with 1 HP in a dream, but it was worth it for that amount of hide. I was able to fulfill my second mission objective, which was to craft myself a raft. I spent the rest of the day building and furnishing my raft, and by nightfall it was finished. It was an ugly box, but I ain't one for pretty looks, and neither is my raft. I set sail during the night, finding myself a new island to explore, where I found these crates washed up on the beach, rewarding me with some much needed basic metal tools and gear. To my surprise, this area was also paired with some nice resources, including rare mushrooms, citronal crops, and plenty of metal nodes to satisfy my metal gathering addiction. I was in paradise right now. By day 4 I made it to my preferred base location. I was 2 weeks late joining the server, so I was a little skeptical I wouldn't find a good spot to build. Luckily for me, it was open for business. I wasted no time in gathering resources, crafting up structures, and building my starter base. I was almost finished when one of the neighbours paid me a visit. It was evident to me that they were not too happy with me moving in. I wasn't having any of it, so I made sure they knew I wasn't going anywhere. By day 5 I had finished furnishing the inside of my base and begun constructing a perimeter for the outside of my base. While noticing that there was a stego nesting ground right outside my house, I snuck up to the nest unnoticed and snatched the egg, and the mama did not take kindly to stealing, slapping me right back into my base. After a long battle I was able to finally take her down. Being that she was a high level, I knew I was going to get rewarded with a serious amount of hide. I was ready to endure the pain.
1 eternity later.
The pain threshold reached a whole nother level when I was nearly done skinning and the server crashed. Upon rejoining the server, the stego corpse had poofed into thin air. After my horrifying skinning experience, I decided to take a vacation to the lava island. With high risk comes high reward, and I was already risking it all in search of an Argentavis nesting ground. An Argentavis is what I need to thrive and survive on this map. However, out here I wasn't doing a very good job of thriving and surviving, and my death count was rapidly rising. Somehow, someway, a Carno invited itself inside my raft. Strangely, it was trying to flee. I mean, I'd be trying to run away if I ran into me. Look at me. I'm an absolute beast. I wasn't exactly achieving a lot, but I was gathering a lot of hide. Day 7 arrived and I was still being made an example of by the local wildlife, but on the plus point, I had upped my hunting game to taking down the big mighty Rex, and I was killing them off left, right and centre. But in this mod, one does not simply harvest a creature in peace without getting ambushed. So far, I had no luck in spotting an Argentavis nest, and I got curious when I saw an Alpha Raptor on the beach. It wasn't long before it ambushed me and was out to ruin my day from the get-go, and this thing was messing up my raft. I had to retreat. I attempted to drive off, but the Alpha Raptor invited itself inside and gave me a big hug. Why and how is it inside my raft? I decided to take my anger out on this baby scorpion, but I couldn't even do that right, and it knocked some sense into me instead. After respawning once again, I noticed the Alpha Raptor was stuck on my preserving bin, and I took full advantage of it by throwing spears at its face. My fun didn't last too long when it escaped my preserving bin and steamrolled me instantly. After a bunch of deaths and attempted respawns, I was finally able to conquer the Alpha Raptor. Day 9, I had given up my search for an Argentavis nest. While sailing back to base, I pulled up at this beach where I found a Pteranodon nest, but got instantly hunted down by an unfriendly neighbourhood Pelagornis. Upon respawning, I attempted to grab that PT egg. Yeah, I'd stick around in this area. I decided to take a step back, heading back to my safe haven, where all that glorious metal was located, and spend the rest of the day gathering all of it. So in this mod, the only way to incubate fertilized eggs is through crafting a selection of 3 different nests. I have no idea what I'm doing. I decided to focus my efforts on crafting the highest level nest with the coolest description. I needed to make refertilizer, and I had no idea of an easy way to get fertilizer other than crafting a toilet. So let's get started by gathering beaver dams for rare flowers, mushrooms, and cementing paste, while pestering the locals and stealing all their eggs. And we all know they don't take kindly to that. Outside my base, I came across a Titanoboa, and I figured it would be an easy source of hide.
Nope.
Whoa, calm down. What was that? So apparently snakes now have a ranged attack. That's just great. But what is great is that I live right next to this bear cave, which after clearing out rewards me with a nice amount of metal and crystal. So I'm going to try and gather this daily. By day 11 I had everything I needed to craft up a toilet. Now it's time to do the business. I tried desperately to poop for at least 15 minutes, it just wasn't coming out, so gave up and decided to be more constructive, finding myself a patchy rhino nest, harvesting a load of oil from the river below, and making myself a fabricator. The next day I went hunting down the beach in search of some new nests, and I did find a couple, finding myself an Archaeopteryx egg and a Pelagornis egg. The parents almost had me, but let's be honest, it wasn't even close. I'm like John Wayne up in this mod. But torpor attacks are my only weakness, and I got knocked out by this pesky Troodon on the way back to base, and it was playing with its food, coming back to bite me every so often to keep me in a never-ending sleep. After napping on the beach for a good 5 minutes, I finally woke up and it decided it wanted to finish me off. When I returned back to base, I sat on the toilet for the rest of the night trying to do the deed, but to no avail. Day 13, I visited the nightclub, but the bouncers were adamant on not letting me in, and they were beginning to get a little rough with me. But I wasn't taking no for an answer. I snuck by them and made it to the bar, where I ordered a round of fertilized eggs. While out diving into the river harvesting oil, I had to quickly run back to base. It's coming! Yes! That one's been brewing for days. The morning of day 14 arrived, and so did crafting up my first living nest. To my disappointment, I needed angler gel for it to work, and I ain't getting angler gel anytime soon. Later on, I spotted a lone hyena wandering around the front of my base. I was curious to see if I could tame it by usual methods. It was working, and I was super hyped. We're going to have ourselves our first tame creature. Really? No! Why? I'm literally on the last feed! And with a heartbeat, my dreams were crushed. After a few more deaths, I was able to get my revenge and steal a couple of their eggs. Right next to it was 2 Ankylosaurus nesting grounds. The Anky is one of my favourite dinos in Ark, so it did make up for losing the hyena earlier in the day. In this mod, the majority of creatures can damage stone, so I dedicated day 15 to making my base metal and upgrading to electrical appliances. Day 16 begun like a scene from the movie The Great Escape, where I stole a fertilized Carno egg from under their noses, making a smooth getaway, just like Steve McQueen. Shortly after, Kiah and Charlie paid me a visit. It was nice to finally make contact with some humans, and they were kind enough to give me some chibis, weapons, and basic kibble. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to repay them because I don't really have anything. I got around to placing my first basic nest, which is the Ember nest, and was able to incubate some smaller eggs. While waiting around for them to incubate, I gathered cementing paste and resources from the bear cave, and later on had my first babies, a dodo which I named Colin first, and a compy named Straight Outta Compy. Day 17, I popped out 8 iguanodon babies. I had to spend most of the day gathering berries by hand to feed them. While hanging around the base, I finally finished upgrading it to metal. It was feeling more like a place I could call home. I decided to give my Iggy baby some cool names like Iggy Pop, Linford Christie, Lifesaver, and Forrest Gump. And to end the day, I had a baby Arker, which I named Mary Poppins. Day 18 marks the first time I was ever killed by Apache in Ark. Feels bad, man. Shortly after I headed back to the lava island, I was desperate to find an Argentavis nest. Upon arriving, I discovered these humps on the beach. They're scattered all over the island and they drop obsidian and flint. Obsidian was hard to come by. I made sure to gather a lot of them. I got into another encounter with an alpha raptor. This time it went a lot smoother. I decided to take a sneak peek into the west lava cave. It was made clear to me that I was far too under-equipped and unprepared for this kind of mission. As soon as I made it inside, I got knocked out at least 4 times by Titanoboa spit. Normally that would be enough to deter anyone from going inside, but I don't take no for an answer. I am persistent. After clearing out all the nasties from the left side of the cave, my persistence was rewarded when I found some nice loot crates. It had now been days searching for an Argentavis nest. While circling the island over and over again, all I could see was other people's rafts doing the same thing. I had no hope in the world that I was ever going to find one. Luck was finally on my side, and I saw the nest guardian sitting on the nest. But she didn't take kindly to trespassers. After respawning, I was finally able to steal that egg. And strangely, the mum didn't have anything to say about it. I'm not complaining. I was super excited for what the future holds. And I must admit, I timed this to perfection, as I knew that the server goes down at a certain time. And the server went down as soon as I grabbed this egg. And what do you know? After it came back online, I found another Argentavis nest in the exact same location. Naturally, the mother slapped me down in a wanna, but I came back to net myself a second Argentavis egg. While running back to my raft, I spotted another boat pulling up to the beach, and the feeling was bittersweet. I knew that I snagged that egg just before they could. Mwahaha! By day 22, my babies had fully matured. It was time to craft a saddle crafting kit, which to me was super confusing at first, but after a while I figured it out. Dino DNA and certain resources are needed to craft. Different tiers of implants, then different tiers of saddles. The Iguanodon is low tier. I was able to make a saddle. Boy, it felt good to ride a dinosaur once again. My fun didn't last for long when I dismounted and got knocked out by a Troodon. Luckily for me, they didn't attack Forrest Gump while I was KO'd on the floor. Later that night I spotted a Ferrozino nesting ground, and the ferry is also one of my favourite dinosaurs. The babies were wandering around with the mother on guard nearby, but not doing a very good job of it. And then I proceeded to eat my own words. But at least I had myself a fertilized Ferrozinosaurus egg. The next day I visited Kiah and Charlie. Kiah was kind enough to give me a baby Pteranodon. I persuaded them both to join me on a mission. While sailing, we spotted a baby Doedicurus stranded on an island. We had to save her. Charlie was very kind and gave me some kibble so I could tame it. I must have done something wrong when it decided to run into the ocean.
Oh, it's dying, it's drowning. Oh, it's dead.
I was gutted.
Oh, no.
We then got ambushed by a Spinosaurus, luckily making a narrow getaway and continuing on with the mission. It's time to retrieve our first artifact, and the cave was going just as expected.
No, my bottoms!
After Kiah was stripped down to her undies, we cleared out the cave successfully, and I managed to tame my first scorpion ever. I named him Sting, and shortly after we retrieved an artifact each. Day 24 I began raising the Pteranodon that Kiah gave me, naming it Terrible Stam, and a Parasaur named Parry Potter. I decided it was finally time to build a greenhouse. It was really hindering my progress not having one. By day 25 my greenhouse structure was complete. It was looking rather nice, I must say. I spent the majority of the day being a plumber, making sure my greenhouse had running water, gathering resources, and crafted up a load of large crop plots, ending the day with a cheeky Alpha Raptor kill, which I harvested for all its goodies, which took a hot minute. I was now high enough to craft the industrial cooker, which gives me access to Gordon Ramsay's recipes. I also crafted up a grill and some soul terminals. Later on, spotting a cute little sheep family, I shot the adults in the face, skinned them for their wool and mutton, and then tamed their baby, which I named Cotton Ball. My next mission was to craft a clay polymer nest, but I needed organic polymer to do so. It was extremely difficult to obtain. The easiest way I knew how was by preying on a creature far weaker than I am. The only downside is that they can only be harvested for one polymer at a time, so I had to kill a lot of them. I was also able to tame up a couple of dolphins with the kibble that Charlie gave me. By day 28 I'd harvested enough polymer to craft up that nest, but to my dismay I couldn't place it down on my foundations. I spent the rest of the day crafting a cage in front of my house with a roof on top, placing down my nests inside where I wouldn't have to worry about anyone swooping down and robbing my eggs. You can't trust anyone these days. I can now incubate a variety of medium-sized eggs, and finished up crafting up a small water pen where I was able to throw out my new dolphins, naming one Ascendant Flippers and the other Pinky. Day 29 I was feeling fine when I returned to Lava Island, grabbing a load of glorious obsidian humps, proceeding into the cave to find this tasty Mastercraft long-lit blueprint. But the main objective of today was to tame some dung beetles, and I was pleasantly surprised when I discovered that they are tamed via normal methods. methods, which is ramming spore meat and poop up their bum. I tamed 2, soul balling 1, and carrying the one out the cave as I didn't have another soul ball for him. I will now officially have fertilizer coming out of my ears. The following day, my friends paid me a visit, and I was having such a great time, I completely forgot about the fertilized eggs I was incubating, and they were currently starving to death. I began to frantically run around like a madman, attempting to save their lives. It was all too much for my survivor to handle.
Spread.
I only chose to raise a few, naming my Terror Bird Angry Bird, my go-to, my Patchy Rhino Big Smoke, and my Kentro Spike. I crafted up a chem bench and spent the rest of the day harvesting berries on Parry Potter. Day 31, I woke up as a distressed man. Parry Potter had been slaughtered during the night. What did Parry Potter ever do to you? And how did it even get into my base? I didn't waste any time. I began raising a Parry Potter number 2. I now had fertilizer for days and was able to finish off planting the rest of my crops. I spent the rest of the day roaming the local neighborhood, gathering all those tasty resources, and placed down a memorial for Parry Potter. Rest in peace, my dude. That night I was out prowling the jungle when I discovered a brontosaurus nesting ground. I couldn't say no to this. Well, that was fun, and now it seems I am in a bit of a pickle. After exhausting my entire ammo supply, I was able to take the parents down. My walls were in drastic need of repairs. That was until I saw the state of my greenhouse. I'm actually amazed it's still standing. Unfortunately, I spent most of the day repairing it. The morning of day 33 was a pleasant one. When a wild Sonoma Crops came up to me and wanted to make friends with me as much as I did with him, I named him Take Me to the Clouds Above. Pinky the dolphin had also matured to a fully grown adult. It was time to get my feet wet and head on down to the big bad ocean. The ocean scares the life out of me. It is one of the most dangerous places to explore. I wasn't in any rush and made sure to take my time down here. All it takes is one wrong move and Pinky isn't exactly made of steel. It did take a while to find some anglers, but when I did, I found enough to satisfy my angler gel cravings. And with that angler gel, I was finally able to incubate my big boy eggs, where I finally get to hatch my favorite creatures. I was a little paranoid about the eggs incubating, so I didn't venture too far from the base, spend the day gathering berries and stocking up on resources found in beaver dams. By day 37, my babies were popping out left, right and center. I had 2 Stegosaurus babies, naming one Stegulus and the other Connor McStegger, a Ferrazino which I named Quintin Ferrazino, an Allosaurus named Big Al, 2 Argentavis named Hawk Hogan and Stephen Hawkin, and finally 2 Ankylosaurus, naming one Flint Eastwood and the other Bumpy. I spent the rest of the day on babysitting duty and gathering food for them. The following day I took Lifesaver out for a spin, making my way to the Puzzle Cave, where I met a bunch of the content creators on the server. Apparently I had been living like a hermit this whole time, and this was also the first time I saw Raas. I allied up with as many people as I could, but unfortunately I still had to trek deep into the cave to place down a foundation bed and storage box. But as soon as I stripped down to my undies, I was rudely interrupted. Oh, this game just doesn't want me to have fun. Luckily in this mod, there's a short period of respawn protection. Otherwise, I'd probably be done for. I was able to re-gear and get my revenge on this Titanoboa, where I could finally get butt naked and take part in the event. Whoever gets to the artifact first wins themselves a prize. Admittedly, my parkour skills are not up to par. I spent more time in the lava checking out the beautiful views of the field of mass dead bodies. I could also see DMAC was sharing the same viewing pleasure as I was. Luckily, Charlie's parkour skills were far better, saving us all from a potential world of endless hours of pain, winning the prize of becoming royalty. I made my return to the puzzle cave on day 40 to cheat the cave with my Sonoma Crops. I'll be able to grab the 3 red loot crates that spawn here and the artifact without having to do the puzzle at all. That was until this happened. My Sonoma Crops wouldn't fly. I assumed it was one of the many lag spots we encounter on the server daily, and I expected to teleport back up to the ledge where I just jumped off from. Nope. That's goodbye to my gear and my one and only Sonoma Crops, which is the only one I've ever seen on the map. To recover from this nightmare, I popped out another baby Yankee and I named him Tom Hanks. Later on, spotting a potential Deinonychus nest, I attempted to kill them off one by one, thinking I had made a dent in their numbers, which was far from the truth. They still had an army left. I had to call it quits when I got chased away by a Spinosaurus. No Deinonychus eggs for me. Day 42, I met up with Kiah, Charlie and Antonio on our dolphins. We all agreed that we were pretty low on angler gel, so we made it our mission to take down every angler in the ocean. Antonio made the perfect perfect companion, as he'd pumped a load of his points into crafting skill. A higher crafting skill stat will determine how quickly one harvests a corpse and how much they get from it. We kill the anglerfish and Antonio gets all the fun, and we were able to harvest a lot of angler gel. We regrouped at Charlie's water pen and split the winnings 4 ways. I then popped round to Kiah's to trade. She had something I was desperate for. She gave me 3 Sonoma crops in exchange for crafting her one of my long neck blueprints and Ascendant scuba tank blueprints. I showed her the now adult Connor McStegger. I think she likes him. It's Sinnoh baby time, baby! Oh, they're so cute. I named one, "You're my boy, Blue!" and another Flappy Muck Flappington. That night was a memorable one, when I came across my first Tyrannosaurus nest, and I must admit my adrenaline was pumping. I was desperate to snag myself an egg. I managed to bait the one parent far away from the nest, and the other one seemed to be distracted, and with Lifesaver's speed and agility, I was able to get to the nest, search it, grab an egg, and even destroy it in time, making a smooth getaway. Or at least I thought I got away. The father chased me all the way back to my base, but I managed to take him down. See ya! Later that day I had a second encounter with a Tyrannosaurus. This one was hanging around an Argentavis nesting ground, but I could have sworn this T-Rex was being employed as their guard dog. I tried to bait the Rex to them so they'd start fighting, but that didn't work and I got double teamed by both species. And it turns out I was on the menu tonight. I made it back to my stuff and was able to take down the Rex. Then became dessert for the Argentavis. Upon making my return, and after what felt like the longest battle of my entire life, I was able to snag not 1, but 2 Argentavis eggs. I'll see you later! Now that most of my babies were adults, I need to start thinking about hunting dinos for their DNA, to be able to make saddles for them, which began with this pair of Allosaurus right outside of my base. But I got a little too big for my boots, while gunning them off the back of Lifesaver. While manoeuvring past them, I got stuck in trees, stuck in them, and slowed by their bleed attack, and I couldn't escape. I'm sorry, Lifesaver. I did manage to get my revenge and take them down, and their DNA is what I needed to craft a superior and then an Anki saddle. But I was heartbroken I wasn't able to retrieve the dermis from Lifesaver. I will remember his sacrifice and will forever blame Lag for his death. I wasted no time putting Flint Eastwood to work. I was also still hunting a variety of creatures to find beta DNA, with no success. I knew I had to hunt something much bigger, but I was also able to craft myself a Pteranodon saddle and finally take to the skies, which only took me 46 days. I was actually heading to Lava Island. While heading there, I spotted a Giga in the jungle, and it was a nesting Giga. I knew I could be in luck to win the big bucks. Oh! There it is! My butt cheeks had never clenched so much in my entire life. To my surprise, it must have been briefly distracted, because I got in and out super easy, and was about to fly off. Then I thought to myself, I'm sure I could probably use that DNA. I spent the entire day using everything and anything I had to take it down. And by nightfall, a Ferrazino nest spawned below, so I had to take a few of them out too. I managed to steal the egg, and then got slapped into oblivion. Then proceeded to get chased away by an angry flock of Dimorphodons. Oh come on man, I just want to harvest the Giga's corpse! I took this as a sign to return home and heal up for the night. Day 48, I returned to the Giga, got ambushed by a Troodon and instantly knocked out. What else is new? Don't mind me just going for a cheeky nap again. Boom! Headshot! It's time for the most painful finger workout you've ever seen.
1 eternity later.
And there it is, finally the beta DNA is in my hands. And you'll never guess what happens next. What? You can't do that! You're bowlered! Yep, and I'm back to sleep again. Love it. I finished off harvesting the fairy DNA, destroying the nest, and when I returned back to base, I saddled up Hulk Hogan. The wrath of the dream team has begun, and we're going to be harvesting the center of all its riches. Day 49, I popped out baby Ferrazino, naming him Cuddles, a baby Bronto named Charles Bronson, and 2 baby RGs, naming one Amazon Prime and the other Steven Spielberg. I decided to plant a load of berries in my greenhouse, so I didn't have to worry about harvesting berries so much, and finished the day harvesting berries on Harry Potter. Day 50, I popped out my one and only baby Rex and I named him Small Arms Dealer and began incubating that fertilized Giga egg. Or not. While hanging around the base, I spotted a baby kangaroo, and he was all alone, with no one to look after him. I didn't think twice, whipped up a quick recipe of regular kibble in my cooker. Don't worry son, I'll take good care of you. Let's get you home. I named him Dennis Hopper. That night, while out gathering flint on flint, I spotted Dennis's brother, and I tamed him too, naming him Optimus Prime. The following day, I headed over to Lava Island with Terrible Stab to hunt down some big boys for their beta DNA. My first thought was the Tyrannosaurus, however they only dropped gamma DNA. Later on, trying my luck with an alpha Alpha Raptor, which ended up giving me 2 beta samples. Day 52 began by giving my mop a chop to craft myself an S Plus nanny, because I just realised that I don't need giant bee honey to power it, and there was me hand feeding my babies the whole time. I then got myself on the treadmill to do my early morning run. You've got to keep fit and healthy, you never know when you're going to need that extra stamina. Later on, running the puzzle cave and finding this beauty of a loot crate, and finished up by crafting an industrial forge and an industrial grinder. Day 53, I came across another Ferrazino nesting ground, and I was desperate for a female. With help from my Sonoma crops, I was able to easily take down the parents and steal myself an egg. Fingers crossed it's a female. I spent the rest of the day harvesting resources with the dream team, so I could craft up a bunch of vaults to upgrade my storage capacity. Day 54, I popped out a bunch of Sonoma crops babies. I had been stocking up on eggs from the parents that Kiah gave me, and I knew I was probably going to lose quite a few of them during this playthrough. Remember that Ferrazino egg I stole? Well, she was a she. I named her Charlie's Ferrazino, and I can now start breeding them for mutations. I then set sail for the Arctic. I was on a mission, and right away I found one of the creatures I was looking for, a baby mammoth. But I don't have access to that high tier kibble, so I wasn't able to tame it. Shortly after, my mood improved when I came across my first Tropio nest. Rumour has it these things are the best way to get around the map, so I was pretty hyped about finding one. After killing the parents, I saw the baby was alone, wandering the dangerous plains. I couldn't tame it, so I did the right thing and saved it from a world of pain. Later on, I spotted my second Deinonychus nest, and once again there was an absolute army guarding it. I attempted to kill them off one by one, and I bit off more than I could chew. I respawned and managed to kill the rest of them off, and finally netted myself a Deinonychus egg. Following up on my success, I spotted a peculiar looking nest, which was a Titanoboa nest. I've never tamed a Titanoboa before, there was no better time than now. I was also able to grab a few more Tropio eggs, but the main reason why I spent so much time here was looking high and low, searching for that Uteranus nest. I'm not even sure if they even exist. I found plenty of nesting UTs, but no nests. By the end of day 58, I headed home, and was greeted by a pair of otters, and they weren't attacking me. Oh, look at them. I'm sorry, I don't have anything to feed you. I couldn't just turn my back on them. I quickly did a spot of fishing to gather myself some salmon roe, and I was able to tame them both. Day 59, I decided to stick close to the base and do all my house chores, as I had a lot of eggs to incubate. I also named my 2 otters Harry Otter and Sausage. I popped up 2 baby Tropios, which I named X-Wing and Trop Gun. My baby Titanoboa, which I named Professor Snake, and 2 Deinonychus babies, naming one Flappy and the other Flapter. Day 60 was spent roaming the lava island, up in my loot game to East Lava Cave. I did also find a Giga wandering the island, which I killed for its beta DNA sample. With the Sonoma crops, I can loot East Lava Cave super quick. I will be returning to this cave as much as possible and live up to my name, that is the Loot Goblin. The next day I dipped back into the ocean with Pinky, and our mission was almost cut short when I got stuck inside 2 max level Sarcos. I thought we were done for until I remembered I can just cheat death with the soul gun. I really wanted to tame myself a Basilosaurus, but almost every aquatic beauty that I scoped out required exceptional kibble or extraordinary to tame. Something tells me I really need to tame a giant queen bee. I decided to tame another dolphin to make myself feel better. While I was out here, I figured I may as well gather some more angler gel. And just to point out, this dolphin I'm riding is actually Pinky. After a serious discussion with Kiah, and at her request, I changed his name to Clam Diver. It was finally time to get my butt on over to the redwoods, and people weren't kidding when they said this is the best way to get around. Look at me go with all that wind in my hair. So this must be where everyone's finding their Brontosaurus babies. It seems there are a lot of nests here. I was able to find 4 nesting grounds and grab myself 4 fertilized eggs. Owie! Yep, probably deserve that after the amount of babies I've stolen from them. After searching for days, I finally spotted the reason why I came here in the first place, and that was for a beehive. I quickly sprayed on my deodorant and got changed into my ghillie armor, and these hives take a good amount of punishment. I had to use a whole arsenal of weapons to take him out. I must have destroyed 2 beehives in one. Once the hive was destroyed, I used a combination of my Sonoma crops and grappling hooks to get up to the bee, and shoved a rare flower up its bum. And to my surprise, there is another queen bee inside her. I'm not complaining. That's 2 for the price of 1. The following day I discovered another Giga nest, and although I probably can't incubate or hatch them, as I was still attempting to incubate the other one I had found, but I couldn't live with myself if I said no to a Giga egg on a plate.
Hello there.
The butt cheeks were definitely clenched much more so than the first attempt. This guy was eyeing me up right in front of my face. The ghillie armor must have worked a charm. While here I was also able to tame a baby Callie right in front of the parents' noses. And back at base I placed down my new beehives. Let the honey production commence. I also named my baby Callie Calcoholic. Incubated and popped out my Bronto babies, naming them Littlefoot, Bronzina and Merry Stompins. The next day I headed back on over to Lava Island with the dream team in my back pocket, farming some loot at East Lava Cave, where I found quite possibly the worst journeyman pump action shotty the world has ever seen. Right, time to get to work, gathering as much obsidian and metal as I possibly could carry. A blue land beacon then came down from the heavens, which enabled me to transfer all my heavy resources inside, which I could take out at a later time when a drop spawns near my base. And this allowed me to harvest twice the amount of resources. Back at base I decided to grind up this Mastercraft Quetz platform saddle that I found, and I was pleasantly surprised by the outcome, which gave me a bunch of primitive saddles. And when grinded again, I was rewarded with 6 extraordinary saddles. Day 68 I was out doing my daily chores, heading to the underworld entrance where I like to farm obsidian, and for the most part I don't tend to run into too much trouble down here. But this time I had a bit of a fight on my hands. Realising it wasn't a fight I was going to win, I attempted to pick up Flint Eastwood and flee the area, but Stephen Hawking got hit and slowed by Titanoboa Spit, and another proceeded to snipe me out of midair, knocking me unconscious. I could see Flint was doing what he could to help me out. I was done for, and then I saw that dreaded message. No, Steven! I respawned while grabbing creatures out of my soul terminal. I saw that second dreaded message pop up. I was heartbroken. The mission status has changed from rescue mission to revenge. I flew back on Hawk Hogan. That is one big pile of snakes. I needed to get to Flint before they devour him. Right, Quinton? It's time to show them what you're made of. Quinton definitely had no problems dealing with all the creepy crawlies down here, and I'll probably be bringing him along in my back pocket in future. Oh, Flint, I'm sorry. Man, I was gutted. I used Hawk Hogan and Tom Hanks to finish harvesting the cave entrance, and later returned to grab Flint Eastwood's dermis. Placing down a memorial next to Parry Potter, you'll be remembered as the best Anki I could ever own. Now that I was able to make the best kibble, I made my way back to the snow biome, finding myself a rhino to tame right next to the mother. As soon as she was mine, she was dead set on killing her own baby. Oof! My baby survived with 6 HP at a dream. What an absolute beast. After clearing out the adult mammoths in the area, I was able to tame up 3 baby mammoths. The rest of my time here was spent searching for that Uteranus nest. And once again, I saw plenty of nesting Utes and no nest. The next day it was time to name my creatures. I named my female mammoth Nelly and a male named Wall Smith. What a beauty. Oh wow, you look worse for wear. There was only one name for this girl, and it was the ultimate survivor. Later on, coming across a Quetzal nesting ground. This was the first one I'd ever seen. And hopefully the last. That just scared the crap out of me. These things were hitting like bricks. Me and Shotgun had to dip on out of there while playing a long game of cat and mouse. And after a while, I was able to take one of the parents down. No idea what the other one was doing, but it seemed content with me stealing its egg. I probably don't have time to raise the thing, but at least I can say I've got one. Ferrazino babies were also popping out everywhere, and I was finally getting some mutations on them. On the subject of the best kibble, it was now time to scope the floating island's mini ocean and search for some Basilosaurus, which I found right away. Taming this female right next to the mother, who didn't care at all. Well, that's a right party. Let me get involved. And then tame myself a male. Back at base, I set up and powered a new nanny, naming my 2 Bazzies, Free Willy and the female Bazzie. Day 74 was time for a ride on the party bus, when Raas picked me, Dai and DMAC up. It wasn't long before our ride got a little bumpy.
It's been a fun adventure so far.
DMAC is gonna regret that he ever said that. An aggressive herd of Basilosaurus. Them 2 got munched instantly, and apparently I'm the last one standing. Oh, hey Raas. The bodies were flying around everywhere. Raas was stuck inside them and couldn't move, and with our combined efforts we were able to take them down. Regrouping with Dai and DMAC, Raas taxied us down to the underwater bubble, where the rest of the crew was in wait. Oh wow, that's a lot of dead bodies. Poor DMAC tried to throw out his Allosaurus, which swam up to the surface, and he lost his life to suffocation. He was not having a good day. The Alpha Tuso is a formidable enemy in this mod, and this is the purpose of why we're down here. We're gonna take one down. I must admit, this was super cool. I've never seen anything like this before. Gigas plus ballistic weapons versus Alpha Tuso. So this explains why there's so many dead bodies down here. We did actually end up killing 2 Alpha Tusos this way. Once we had it on the ropes, we had to push out into the ocean, swimming after it with our flip-flops. After taking them down, we were rich with black pearls, and had ourselves some nice Alpha DNA. Back at base, Kiah was kind enough to give me a breeding pair of Dinopithecus, and I had never seen them on the map before. I'll definitely be breeding a lot of these for potential boss fighters. I wasted no time in having them get jiggy with it. Day 76, I grouped up with another crew, and we were ready to go to war in East Lava Cave. The name of the game was to keep moving forward. No stopping, no delays, just move forward. And spray and pray. Raas soon fell victim to his own game when he got pinned in a corner and knocked unconscious. And I didn't think twice about using my giraffe-like body as a barrier of protection for him. It was chaotic, but the plan was working because there were so many of us, and we were able to easily grab both artifacts from the cave. The following day I dedicated time to retrieve all the open world artifacts, starting with the Ice Palace. Man, this place brings back some good memories. I brought Harry Otter along with me so I could grab 2 of each artifact. I was also able to grab 2 artifacts of the Devious and 2 of the Immune, where someone had kindly left a wooden chair here for me to sit on, allowing me to regain my stamina. What a lifesaver. The next day I met up with Kiah, Charlie and Antonio at his base, where I was in dire need of a sip of water. There was no other option but to take a swig of his sweet, sweet swamp water. Tasty. I must admit he had a rather nice looking base, considering it's located in the midst of a swamp, and the mission at hand, run easy snow cave and retrieve artifact. After massacring everything in our path, running around in circles, we came across what appears to be a frozen Tyrannosaurus inside a wall of ice, which didn't exactly fill us with confidence. But hey, at least we finally discovered the artifact. We would now becoming some sort of a dream team and dubbed ourselves the 8-7 crew. We exited the cave in style, living up to our name. Day 79 I returned to Lava Island with Amazon Prime, gathering a load of those obsidian humps. I was going to need a lot of polymer to craft the weapons I need. The 8-7 crew minus Antonio were reunited on day 80. This is the harder snow cave. We dressed appropriately for the occasion, donning our winter wonderland attire. I ain't afraid of no snow. There's quite a long underwater passage to swim through, but we were prepared for it. We had our scuba gear with us. What we weren't prepared for is the party that awaited us on the other side. I got Hulk smashed back into the water where I came from. The Yetis weren't choosy. Kiah and Charlie received the same treatment as me. After that chaotic battle, we made it to the first artifact in the cave. It appears Ninja wants in and he's come to join us. After waiting around for 10 minutes for this man to make himself a bed, we finally spotted him enter the cave, and he's only gonna dive straight into the water below. Hey, there he is.
Garthan was telling me, he's in desperate danger, you need rescue, so I'm like, oh, alright, I'll go in, Baywatch, jump in the water.
Luckily, he realised we weren't in there and headed back. We continued through the cave, clearing out all the aggressors, finally making it to the second artifact with our new apprentice. One day, Ninja, you will become an 8-7 crew member. So admittedly, I did miss out on quite a lot of the group events on the server, but I was not missing this one for the world. We added the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mod. Raas had set up this game where we parkour our way through a jump puzzle, a wiggly windy maze, finishing up at the Technodrome, then entering Shredder's lair to retrieve ourselves a fertilized egg.
3, 2, 1, go!
Oh my god!
This is gonna be absolute chaos. So the event will end after 3 fertilized eggs have been retrieved. Naturally, I died from fall damage quite a few times. After making my way past the jump puzzle, I reached the maze, and by some miracle, I made it through first try. I could also see a lot of people were struggling with this section, so it felt pretty good. Oh, there it is, the Technodrome in all its glory. Unfortunately, my bones were broken, and due to health regeneration being pretty much non-existent in this mod, I had to wait here for 20 minutes for my health to regenerate a decent amount to carry on. As soon as I dropped down, my bones broke once again. I was back to square one. I decided to tag along with these fellow turtles, making our way into Shredder's lair, where we got absolutely obliterated. After running the entire course, I made it back to the Technodrome and went back in with Dai. She was a trooper, taking all aggro of the fairies and leading them off the cliff. This gave me a small window to sneak on up and snag myself a fertilized egg, making a smooth getaway. Almost. APP was also kind enough to be a body shield for me. I made it back to the drop box and stuck my egg inside. And out of all 40 competitors, I ended up coming third, netting myself a spot on the podium, where I also became royalty. The king is back in town. The following morning, I opened my door to this sound. Oh, hello mate. You come to visit me, have ya? Oh, wow. Someone's having fun. Looks like Kiah and Charlie have been up to their tricks again. Seems like you've gotten some noisy neighbours. Want to shut them up for good. Look for the code in the area marked in red. I kinda like them. I might keep them round for a bit. I headed out with Free Willy to retrieve the final artifact. It's located in the deepest part of the ocean, and I was really struggling to find the path to go further down deeper.
That's what she said!
After searching for a while, I did find the way down, and upon reaching the bottom, Oh no. No. Run, Willy, run! Free Willy now became Flea Willy. Normally you can reach a certain depth and they stop chasing you, but not in this mod. They will chase you until they kill you. And then we ran out of stam. There was no other option but to go toe to toe with it. I was getting pretty scared when it got us down to below half health, but luckily it decided it had enough, which gave me the opportunity to swim back up to the surface, where we could safely wait around for Free Willy to heal up. Once his health had regenerated, I finally discovered the artifact of the brute, and with Harry Otter's help, I was able to grab 2 of these, running into the 145 Tuso once again, and this time we had the advantage and we were able to take it down. I finished the day gathering resources at Skull Island. By this point, most of my boss creatures were fully matured and ready to go. There was only one thing left to do, and that was to level them up as much as possible. And being as the babies pop out at level 1, bar a few mutations, I had a lot of work to do. I spent most of the time each day on the Lava Island, killing anything and everything that gives good XP, including my first Alpha Rex, which I was actually able to take down on Quentin Ferrazino, which rewarded him with a lot of XP. And when I wasn't going on a killing spree at Lava Island, I was scouting the snow biome in search for that Uteranus nest. I even found 2 nesting Uteranus right next to each other, but no sign of any nest. But then again, being as it's so late in the days, I probably wouldn't have enough time to raise a baby anyway. But that doesn't change the fact of how disappointed I am. I also came across my first wild baby Daedon. But of course, I'm not allowed to have fun in this game. I got rudely interrupted by a level 240 Quetzal, who almost had me. But I'm just a beast, what can I say? Luckily, my Daedon was alive and well and ready to be tamed. Boosh! Back at base, naming him Kevin Bacon. I needed to craft a lot of polymer for my weapons. I made my return to the Great Skull Island. This is 100% the best obsidian spawn in the entire game. And once again, with the help of a nearby land beacon, I was able to gather twice the amount, cleaning the entire place out. Day 99 was boss prep day. I have to make sure I'm ready for the war ahead. I spent the day crafting bullets, the best flak armor that I own, and finally, the main ingredient to take down the bosses. Time for me to get myself a makeover. Now that's what I'm talking about. I am ready. Well, that was anticlimactic. I guess I probably deserve that after hoarding so much stuff on the Daedon to the point where I could barely move. Oh, but dude, that sucks. Well, that's that then. And although I didn't manage to defeat the bosses of the Center Reborn map, let alone even see the Broodmother with my own eyes in the arena, as we got obliterated instantly by the Megapithecus. It's been a wild ride, and I hope you all enjoyed joining me along the way. This will most likely be my last ARK Survival Evolved video until ASA drops. And I guess you could say we went out with a bang. And please, if you did enjoy the video, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. It really helps me out. I really appreciate it. All links to the content creators' channels will be in the description of the video. Please go check them out. They are great people. And I hope to catch you all in the next video. Take care. Goodbye.